A light dusting covered the rooftops of Castle Black. Sir Hunts had prepared nearly 100 builders and a dozen stewards to make for the last hearth at Sir Jon's command. His second ranger, Rory Cassell, prepared the caravan and would escort the men himself. There were nearly a half-dozen horses for every man as the Castle Black builders would lead the evacuation of Molestown to the last hearth, again at the command of Sir Jon. Sir Hunts failed to acquire the Lord Commander's reasoning for such a task. An impending attack could be the only reason, Sir Hunts thought to himself. He daydreamed of the Molestown that existed in his earliest days of the Watch. It was far from the barracks that currently housed the dependents of all the watchers on the wall. Those early days is where a man could properly enjoy themselves. The ale, the gambling, and most of all, the women. Sir Hunts sighed out loud as the second ranger broke his concentration.
My lord, the caravan will be ready to depart by midday. Is there any word from the Lord Commander?
From Sir Jon, no. But Maester Qyburn sent for various stores for Lady Munda's treatment.
Aye. How is her recovery?
Slowly. Qyburn works in his own time, but the Lord Commander seems as damaged as she was. It's understandable, considering the level of torture she endured. She revealed the location of the Horn of Winter, and it was commandeered by a foreign sorcerer.
Sir Hunts finished, and Rory's face turned stern at his commander's revelation.
Does legend tell us of its ability?
Rory asked, and finally garnered Sir Hunt's full attention.
Mance Rayder marched his army throughout the Frostfangs for years in search of it. In the hands of an enemy, it can only mean death and destruction for the Watch. It is the reason for the Lord Commander's rash decisions, such as evacuating Molestown to the last hearth.
Rory digested these words and visibly gulped. Sir Hunts noticed he had more to say, perhaps on a different subject.
Come on now, out with it already.
Sir Hunts demanded, and the young ranger obliged.
6 of our men set out for their ranger board. 2 returned with their trophy and are set to pass. 3 returned and admitted failure.
And the 6th man?
Builder Alan Rose. It's his 4th attempt. He's been in the haunted forest for nearly 3 weeks. It has come to my attention he preferred death to another failed board.
Stubborn boy. Have my horse saddled. We'll conduct a quick search of the haunted forest. I'm sure you can catch up to the caravan before next nightfall.
At once, good sir.
Rory answered quickly and set off for the stables. Just as soon as Rory departed, the war horn blew once, announcing friendly arrivals. This time a carriage approached from the south. Within the hour, Sir Hunts's horse was readied to retrieve the prospective ranger from the haunted forest. Before their departure, the southern gate creaked open to reveal a watchman driving a prison wagon. His team of horses pulled up to the stables as Oliver introduced himself to the commander of Castle Black.
Report your duty, watchman.
Sir Hunts ordered as Oliver stayed atop the wagon's driver's seat. He rose to his feet and gave a brief bow.
Oliver, if you please. Dispatched from Eastwatch. Sir Jon ordered the retrieval of this filth from the dungeons of Moat Cailin.
The Watch stopped recruiting criminals a decade ago.
"'Tis his true commander. Sir Jon agreed to the petition of Maester Qyburn. He had a particular interest in this one. But as a simple builder myself, I was not granted knowledge as to why.
Then why are you here, and not at Eastwatch?
Again, I find myself ignorant as to the Lord Commander's reasons. I just follow the commands.
Very well, see him to the brig. I assume you are to set his guard until Sir Jon comes for him?
I will. And I'll need a literate man to take a letter for me, to inform Eastwatch.
Oliver inquired, and Sir Hunts quickly agreed as he mounted his horse alongside Second Ranger Rory Cassell. Sir Hunts trotted his horse twice around the wagon, taking in the whimpering prisoner, half hanging out from in between the blacksmith's forged cage. The pair of watchmen rode below and past the unlocked and open inner gate underneath the wall. The outer gate creaked and moaned as it rose high above the pair. The fresh snowfall would conceal Rose's more recent tracks, but the returning prospective rangers gave his possible location already. The final board was for a prospective ranger to be left in the haunted forest without food or water or weapons, survive the cold, build a shelter and survive on one's own without assistance. Once the watchman achieved a kill, he would be permitted back to the wall and join the ranger regiment. In the earlier days of the watch, the head of a wildling would instantly achieve passing marks. In more recent times, a stag's rack or the skull of a bear would do. In 4 previous attempts, the best builder Rose had caught was a lean rabbit and a severe fever.
So Rose would rather accept death rather than return with another rabbit?
Sir Hunts asked as their horses gently strolled through the snow and under the cover of the evergreens that inhabited the haunted forest.
Aye. Some of the other builders were mocking his bravado prior to his last board. Apparently he seemed rather serious.
Second Ranger Cassell admitted as his breath fogged around his mouth. The temperature always seemed to drop beyond the wall. A common myth, as the tunnels they emerged from were exceptionally warm and would confuse those who failed in their superstitions. After a few hours, the 2 watchmen casually discussed returning to the wall without Watchman Rose. No sooner did the second ranger discover tracks under the thick evergreen brush that luckily obscured the recent snowfall. After minutes of following these tracks, the pair of watchmen were led to a tall weirwood. Its red leaves contrasted the white background, and its roots were exposed above the snow, allowing for deep caverns beneath. Sir Hunts grunted and nodded to Rory. The second ranger acknowledged and leapt from his horse to investigate. He nearly disappeared under those weirwood roots. Sir Hunts heard a slight struggle and various grunts as he leapt from his horse and drew his sword. He marched towards the weirwood and abruptly stopped as a rabid Alan Rose scurried from beneath the root structure. Builder Rose roared and flailed about, and Sir Hunts kept a slight distance from him. Rory Cassell quickly emerged from the cavern, barking orders at the builder. The 2 struggled as Alan refused to be taken back to the wall. Sir Hunts attempted to break the younger men's struggle, and before he realized the scuffle was a 3-way affair. Eventually, the commander of Castle Black lost his balance and reached out to brace himself on the root network of the weirwood. Once in contact with the weirwood, a deep thud filled his ears. The struggle between the younger men blended into the background, and Sir Hunts saw himself atop the wall. Higher and higher his point of view hovered, even higher than the wall itself. He was high above Eastwatch as 1,000 ships came down upon a fully prepared shore. The watch was both north and south of the wall and fought in the frozen surf as Sir Hunts observed from his dreamlike state. The red sails of the invaders' ships crashed ashore. Thousands, tens of thousands of men turned the snow as red as their sails. Sir Hunts was mortified as the dying screams of thousands of his men overtook him. Sir Hunts had a voice echo through his ears as his watch fought to the death below.
They are coming. Prepare yourself. Defend the wall, or it again will fall. Tell Jon the threat comes from the east, and the enemy sails with his name on their lips.
The dream vanished as quickly as it came. Sir Hunts was on his back and his watchman hovered above him in concern. Rory's lip was cut and bled down his neck. Alan's eye was swollen shut, indicating their silly fight continued as Sir Hunts was visited by someone via the weirwood. Rory helped his commander rise to his feet and felt out of breath. Sir Hunts breathed heavily, similar to completing a long, strenuous ride. Rory looked deeply concerned as he replied to his commander.
Why were you screaming? Sir, you seem to be in a panic.
Rory pleaded at his commander. He thought harshly as he quickly mounted his horse.
No more shit from you, Rose. You'll double up with the second ranger and ride with all haste back to the wall. I'm not losing a man to the cold or to his own stubbornness while the wall will soon be under siege.
Sir Hunts ordered, and Rory seemed disturbed by his words.
Second Ranger Cassell, you will divert your attention from the last hearth and ride immediately for Eastwatch.
Rory looked surprised at his change of mission, and he almost seemed as panicked as Sir Hunts sounded.
My message will be given top priority. Tell Sir Jon that 1,000 ships sail for Eastwatch, and someone wanted us to know